My name is Emily Carter, and I was 30 years old the day my life quietly broke and rebuilt itself at the same time. It started in a grocery store in Austin, Texas. I was standing in the produce aisle, checking avocados, thinking about nothing important, when a woman tapped my shoulder and said, "Your daughter is so cute." I smiled politely and said, "I don't have a daughter," but her expression changed and she pointed behind me. "She's been following you since the park." I turned around and saw a little girl, maybe 4 years old, brown hair tucked behind her ears, eyes that felt strangely familiar. She walked straight toward me without hesitation, took my hand like she had done it 100 times before, and said, "Can we go home, Mommy?" My chest tightened because I knew that face. I had seen it before, not in a stranger, but in my older sister Anna, who had died the year before. A few minutes later, a foster caregiver named Pam rushed over, apologizing and explaining that the girl sometimes attached herself to people. She said the child had recently lost her mother. The girl stayed close to me, holding my hand, asking for strawberry milk like it was something I always gave her. I didn't understand why, but I bought it for her anyway and sat outside the store while she drank it quietly. That's when I noticed the small stuffed elephant she carried. When she handed it to me, I felt a tag sewn into the fabric. It had a name written in marker, Sophie Carter, and a phone number that no longer worked. Something inside me shifted. Later that day, I searched the name connected to the number and found a record that stopped me cold. Anna Carter, my sister, had died just weeks ago. No mention of a child. No mention of Sophie. Nothing. I contacted the Child Services office the next morning and spoke to a caseworker who confirmed it. Sophie was Anna's daughter. I asked for a DNA test, and a few days later, the results came back, 99% match. She was my niece. My sister had a child for 4 years, raised her alone, and I never knew. But the worst part came next. The caseworker told me that my mother had already been contacted weeks earlier and had confirmed the family connection. She knew Sophie existed and never told me. I called my mother immediately, but she avoided the question at first and then said something that made everything clear. She said it was better this way. Years ago, when my sister got pregnant, she had been pressured to hide it because there was no husband, and it didn't fit the image my mother wanted for the family. Everyone was told the baby didn't survive. Anna left, raised Sophie on her own, and slowly disappeared from our lives. When she got sick, she faced it alone. When she died, her child was left with strangers, while my own family stayed silent. Soon after, my brother Daniel and his wife Lisa suddenly showed interest in taking Sophie in. They talked about stability, having a home, and being a better fit, but I noticed something else. They kept mentioning Anna's house, her savings, and the monthly support Sophie would receive. It didn't feel like love. It felt like calculation. I didn't argue with them. I didn't raise my voice. I did what I knew best. I gathered proof. I worked quietly, collecting documents, confirming records, reviewing everything. Then I found something that changed everything, papers my sister had signed before she died, naming me as Sophie's guardian. She had trusted me, even when we hadn't spoken in years. That hurt more than anything, because it meant she had wanted me there, but someone, had kept us apart. When the court hearing came, my brother's lawyer tried to paint me as distant, too focused on work, someone who didn't understand children. I didn't react. I let my lawyer present the facts, the DNA results, the legal documents, and the truth about how my family had hidden Sophie's existence. Then I stood up and said one thing clearly. Truth should never be hidden to protect reputation, because lies always hurt more in the end. Real family is not the one that controls or hides things, but the one that shows up with love and honesty. A child is never a mistake. They deserve care, safety, and to be accepted. And sometimes, the strongest person is the one who stays calm, stands for what is right, and protects those who cannot protect themselves. Always choose truth over silence, even if it's uncomfortable. Don't let family pressure or fear control your decisions. If someone depends on you, show up for them with honesty and care. A child needs love, not perfection, and the right person is the one who protects them, not the one who benefits from them. Questions. What would you do if your family hid something this big from you? Would you stay quiet or fight for the truth? Is family about blood, or about who stands with you when it matters? Do you think the mother was right or wrong for hiding the child?